Welcome to the Folk School on Willow Creek, featuring University Distinguished Professor Tom Ezern, singing and telling stories from the Salon on Willow Creek.
I need a bed for the night, boys, and my horses need hay. I need riding that grub line on the hot-dish highway. Crossed broad Pecos, we forded the Nueces, we swum the Guadalupe, we followed the Brazos River, runs rusty little Wichita clear. But down by the Brazos I courted my dear. Lie, la, lie, lee, lend me your hand. Lie, la, lie, lee, lend me your hand. Lie, la, lie, lee, lend me your hand. That many a river that waters the land. Now the fair Angelina runs glossy and gliding, the crooked Colorado runs weaving and winding, the fair San Antonio courses the plain. But I never will walk by the Brazos again. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. My Brazos River sweetheart has left me and gone. Well, she hugs me, she kissed me, she called me a dandy. The Trinity is muddy, the Brazos quicksandy. She hugged me, she kissed me, she called me her own. But down by the Brazos she left me alone. Lie, la, la, lee, lend me your hand. Lie, la, la, lee, lend me your hand. Lie, la, la, lee, lend me your hand. The Trinity's muddy, the Brazos quicksand. Girls of Little River, they're plump and they're pretty. The Sabine and the Sulphur have many a beauty. On the banks of the Natchez are girls by the score. But I never will walk by the Brazos no more. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. I never will walk by the Brazos no more. Lie, la, lie, lee, pull the boat on. Lie, la, lie, lee, lend me your hand. Lie, la, lie, lee, lend me your hand. There's many a river that waters the land. Oh, we're about to see the land watered, I think, tonight, Dr. K. We'll try to get this thing done before the thunderstorm rolls in. And it's backing in from the north, so it might be a firecracker. Yeah. The Brazos River, also known as the Rivers of Texas. Now, you can't see what I'm singing from here, but it's I'm singing from my photograph of a manuscript at the Joni O'Brien Folklore Archives, Wichita State University, Wichita, Kansas. Joan O'Brien, yeah. Well, a word about Joan O'Brien, who set down these stanzas that I was just singing. She was, well, a remarkable woman and a fetching woman. And I've posted online a photograph of Joni that was published, sadly, with her obituary. Now, I see that that was written for, where was this published? Yeah, in Western Folklore by none other than Bill Cook, who I've talked about singing with, Bill Cook of Kansas State University, on previous sessions of the Willow Creek Folk School. I always loved singing with Bill. He was of the folklorish generation immediately prior to mine, a generation earlier. And he knew Joni well. And there were, it's not that there were giants in the earth, but there were notable characters in the earth, like Bill and like Joni. Oh, or old Jean de Grusen. Did I ever tell you about, I haven't told you about Jean, I don't think.
Not that I recollect.
Jean de Grusen was really a literary lion in the Little Balkans of Kansas. Editor for many years of the Little Balkans Review, a poet, a folklorist. I remember he was hosting the Kansas Folklore Society there. And after the sessions one evening, we all went over to his house. And at the time we went over, we all knew that Jean was dying of cancer. And the drugs were taking effect. You know, but he wanted people to come to the house and sing, and so there we were. And then he wanted somebody to sing the Prisoner's Song, except he couldn't remember, you know, that song, you know, the guy, I said, if I had wings of an angel? He said, yeah. Oh, and I said, that's the Prisoner's Song, Gene. You know it. And we all know it. Let's do it. And then so I started singing the Prisoner's Song. And he nodded along and now and then could come up with a line to join in. And that song meant something to him. Maybe in that he felt a little bit of a prisoner himself at that moment. So I often think, you know, if you don't understand why these songs, like The Rivers of Texas or The Prisoner's Song, or later on tonight, for Pete's sake, Home on the Range, why they're important, I can't explain that to you, and I'm not sure that I care to. You know, you weren't sitting with Gene that night, but you're sitting here tonight, so I suspect you know. Bill's obituary of Joni O'Brien. Born in Wichita, Kansas, 1923, killed out on the western slope of Colorado in an automobile accident in 1964, prime of life. Joni, as she was known by her many friends, came from early Kansas pioneer stock, was educated in the Wichita public schools, although her great-grandmother taught her to read and write before she entered kindergarten. 1941, she graduated North High, made her first singing appearance at the graduation baccalaureate service. A.B. Wichita University, 1949, added the master's, took additional graduate work at Colorado and University of New Mexico. While at Wichita, came under the influence of Dr. Earl Davis, a folklorist there. Taught herself to play the guitar and began to sing folk songs before the public. Joined the English staff at Wichita University, taught there, taught a lot of workshops down at Pittsburgh State, then Kansas State College at Pittsburgh. Then resigned from there and went out to Wichita, Western State College in Gunnison. And after that, she was just starting at Fort Lewis when the automobile accident occurred. Bill says, Miss O'Brien was a superb singer of folk songs, collector, and teacher of folklore, often taking her classes into the field to collect, or to any folk festival that was within reasonable driving distance. As a result of her collecting interest and fine response from classes, Wichita University established in 1955 an archive of Midwestern folklore. And you know, I've got here a sheaf of notes that I took from the Joni O'Brien collection at that archive. It runs by a different name today, I think. But it's got all of Joni's collections in there. President of the Kansas Folklore Society, elected in 1961. Author of the Folk Songs and Ballads chapter in the book Kansas Folklore, published by University of Nebraska Press. During the Kansas State Centennial Year of 1961, when the state hungered for folk songs of the developmental period, Joni was repeatedly called on to sing. She found happiness in dressing up and capturing, for both young and old, the fading details of the period by singing folk songs such as Quantrell and Lane County Bachelor. Performed repeatedly on radio and TV, but unique in folklore studies and teaching was her televised folklore course. Remember, this is 1961. Begun in 1958, though, given for college credit over KA at RD Wichita. First such course in the state, probably one of the first in the country. 1962, Joni found herself in the limelight when she sang on a local television program called The People Sing. This program was chosen by the FCC as one of the top educational programs in the country. Fortunate and satisfying to her many friends and folk song enthusiasts is the fact that Folkways Records of New York recognized her talent and produced for the Plains area 2 albums of her singing, Folk Songs and Ballads of Kansas and Ballads and Songs. Bill says she was an enthusiastic outdoor woman, loved to hunt and fish, could ride like a cavalryman, equally at home at the campfire, sharing bacon and coffee, or in a penthouse, sharing niceties with the sophisticated, capable marksman with a Colt 45 cap and ball revolver, dog lover with 2 beagles, Sam and Molly. Her own life was as adventurous as her singing. Bill's tribute to the woman who set down those stanzas. Let's see, I need to hang on to that sheet. You know, I don't know if NDSU Press has been doing anything this week or not. It's been pretty quiet around the shop.
Oh, we're just resting.
We're getting up early in the morning. I always enjoy this kind of gathering because I just carry Dr. Kelly's bags on these, and she's the one who's drawing the crowds at the meeting of the Midwest Independent Publishers. Why are we going?
We are attending the Midwest Book Awards tomorrow, the first in-person gala for a couple years for this event. We have 5 authors who are finalists in the awards. They're guaranteed to win silver medals, but tomorrow night we will find out who takes away the gold, and I hope all 5 of them do that. It's possible.
So, people could still order these books from NDSU Press over the website if they didn't want them to be defaced by those stickers that say gold medal winner, silver medal winner.
Midwest Book
right?
Awards.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck to all those authors.
That's right. Can I name them?
No, but you can tell us their names. They've already got names, haven't they?
All right. Thank you.
We can give them nicknames.
Bonnie Larson Steiger's collection of poetry called In Plain Sight.
Hooray for Bonnie.
Mark Finn's collection of poetry, The Trouble with Daydreams.
Attaboy, Mark.
Those 2 poets have taken 2 of the 3 slots in the finalist category, so we'll hope for that. Wayne Goodmanson, A Song for Leave.
Great.
In photography.
Great, Wayne.
Prakash Matthew, We Are Called to Do the Right Thing.
Oh, man.
In
Go
inspiration. Oh, now I went too fast. Who won this? Oh, Don Wynell, The Field Guide to Custer's Camps. On March to the Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
All different categories.
Big night tomorrow. You got your little black dress ready? Or?
It's bigger than it used to be.
It's all relative. It's all relative. Okay, so that's what's going on this weekend with us, and that's why there are no canine attendants at the folk school tonight. They've gone to Bible camp for the weekend. See if they come up with home with any new verses. Now in the fields I've put the seed, and Lord, I've done my best indeed. Now look with kindness, Father dear, to all the little kernels here. I could be singing, I suppose, for our neighbors in the middle of Cass County who've completed seeding mostly now, although perhaps not those who got hit with overland flooding from the Cheyenne River and may be in a prevent plant situation. The words, however, come from a farmer named John F. Talcott of West Hope, North Dakota, 1919. Found his poem, The Sower's Dream, 4 stanzas. On the front page of the Nonpartisan Leader of the 30th of June, 1919, the Leader was a journalistic organ of the Nonpartisan League, North Dakota's agrarian socialist movement within the Republican Party. Immigrant farmers, Republicans, but also passionate about farming as a godly way of life, were much attracted to the movement. Which brings us back to Mr. Talcott, a Swedish immigrant farmer in Botno County. Born Johann Ferdinand Jonsson in Skåne in 1875, he came to America with his parents. They returned to the old country, while Johann took a homestead in Botno County and changed his name to John Ferdinand Talcott. Talcott married Anna Carlson in 1902. They would have 8 children together and proved up a homestead in 1906. They prospered. Judging by newspaper notices, they were active in the community, and according to John's draft registration, he waxed portly in prosperity. Thus, John Talcott's affinity for the Nonpartisan League was not a sign of distress. Rather, it indicated his affection for farming as a way of life. His rhetoric, to my ear, is exceedingly Lutheran. His composition, I say from internal evidence, seems influenced by the Cattle King's Prayer, which I have written about previously and I sang here last week. I think also I perceive ties to the 1837 hymn, "On Jordan's Bank the Baptist Cry," especially as to the invocation of the Trinity in the final stanza. By 1919, Talcott was well acculturated and likely was familiar with English language hymns. So I've been singing the poem to the hymnal tune, and I'll do that in just a minute here. Looking backward, Talcott says his work is written, in his words, after a Scandinavian idea. I haven't been able to pin down the reference. I suspect there's some concrete literary lineage there of which I'm unaware. Perhaps a listener of Swedish lineage among you can enlighten me. For now, I know there are many Christian faithful on the prairies who either observe a blessing of the soil for Rogation Sunday or a blessing of the tractors at seeding time. Well, John Talcott and I have a hymn for you. Try it out. Now in the fields I've put the seed, and Lord, I've done my best indeed. Look now with kindness, Father dear, to all the little kernels here. Protect my field from winds and frost, from every pest, insect host. Stay with my hand the tempest's hail, Lord, grant that my labors do not fail. Give rugged health instead of cold, for my faith your hands now hold. My work, my home, in peace to live is all I ask of you to give. God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, send rain when they are needed most. But if my prayers too selfish seem, Lord, give to me as best you deem. Lord, I've done my best indeed. With thanks to John F. Talcott, the nonpartisan leaguer of West Hope, North Dakota, that's the Sower's Prayer. Certainly not sung in this century before, perhaps from the past century. But isn't it a sweet one? And how about that Rivers of Texas? Is that a sweet, winsome ballad, if there ever was one? And this one, so, oh my. Yeah, that's high quality folk poetry, the Sower's Prayer. So I need to hang on to that sheet too. Well, I always like new discoveries. I enjoy rummaging around in Joni O'Brien's papers because I can see it just kind of seeping out of them. Her excitement at collecting this material back, 60 years ago and more. And I feel that same excitement when I find the Sower's Prayer, or last week, the Cattle King's Prayer, and unearth these things. It's downright archaeological. And I'll warn you that in the course of rummaging around for the background on the Sower's Prayer, I also ran across the Farmer's Song, also known as Godspeed the Plow, and also known as Long Life and Success of the Farmer. Here's a teaser. Now this is going to come back. This is a song, an old English folk song of plowmen, which became fairly well known here on the prairies, all over the prairies. Often was printed, I gather, onto beer mugs. Just a teaser here, one stanza. Let the wealthy and great roll in splendor and state. I envy them not, I declare it. I eat my own lamb, my own chickens and my ham. I shear my own fleece and I wear it. I have lawns, I have bowers, I have fruits, I have flowers, and the lark is my morning alarmer. So jolly boys now, is Godspeed the plow, long life and success to the farmer. Oh, doesn't that kind of get you stirred up?
That's a pretty good teaser.
It's a pretty darn good song. Speaking of pretty darn good, you want to see some pretty darn good looking strawberries, huh?
Showing off the berries.
They're coming in. Strawberry shortcake, the real deal, is soon to happen around here. And it's a saga. We're playing defense every day. First the deer, and now some critters getting under the screens that are keeping the deer out, but not keeping them out. I don't know if it's those damn little gray squirrels or if it's gophers or somebody's getting in there. It might be a beagle.
I will say your orange light took some of the red color out of those berries because they are a luscious red.
They are crimson indeed. And they're one of the treats around here. Well, Home on the Range actually was put up as a title. Was it? Something like that. Some reference to Home on the Range in the title of this session for tonight. Because we're at about the anniversary of the designation of Home on the Range as the state song of Kansas in 1947. So every year it rolls around on my calendar, mention Home on the Range. And here's what I propose to do. A little bit of an expose. I've got, here's from Kansas Statutes Annotated, the designation, Home on the Range. The song Home on the Range, as originally written with words by Dr. Brewster Higley and music by Dan Kelly, is hereby established as the Kansas state song. The words to such song shall be. Well, okay, so the thing is, Here, I got the original statute. No, okay, I don't have it, but I got it. You know, somewhere on my hard drive, I got the original statute. And what it doesn't say that there will be these words. It says they will be as originally published in the Kerwin Chief. And they were first published, and then that issue was lost several years later. It was in 1876, and they're republished. So that's the official text. I'm going to sing it. Yeah, the 26th of February, 1876. But it was a few years earlier. It was first published. Then in 76, the editor comes in, and he's calling out somebody who claims to have written it. And then he says, no, it was Dr. Higley. And here, I'll republish it to show you his original text. And so, yeah, I've transcribed it myself from the Kerwin Chief. And the legislature says these are to be the official words. But the Kansas statute annotated varies somewhat. And I always said, you know, this is something that the Kansas legislature got right. Somebody monkeyed with it just a little bit, however. But here we go then. I'm not going to sing it from the Kansas statutes annotated. I'm singing the legal state song version of Home on the Range. Now, this, of course, is a song from Smith County, Kansas, Dr. Brewster Higley, and the song set to the music by Dan Kelly and his dance band there. I've always said they got that right, but somebody's been monkeying with it here, and so we're doing a mid-course correction here and going back to the original text. People have their favorite versions of this. In Ken Spurgeon's film, documentary on Home on the Range, Michael Martin Murphy does a rendition of the song. I notice he uses the same chord progressions for Home on the Range that I do. Now, this is no insinuation, but I happen to know that Michael observed Jim Hoy and me singing Home on the Range one night in Manhattan, Kansas, using that progression that I've never seen anyone else use. Just saying. But he sings it splendidly. Many have. I believe Ian Tyson of Alberta has as a vocalist, the most sublime version of Home on the Range. David Guillen, the composer in Texas, is rather responsible for the dissemination of the song that made it a national hit in the 1930s and set off the royalty disputes about it. In the late 1930s, it was being sung as a contest song by kids on the prairies, young males who wanted something, that expressed their affection for the farm and the landscape, but it would be a manly song for a young vocalist. Then they would sing Home on the Range, for Pete's sake. How about that? So it's a song of the entirety of the Great Plains. And it's a song about the transition from open prairie, with all the native creatures of the land therein, and that giving way through the action of the plow to a transformed landscape. And so it's a celebration and also an obituary for the Great Plains landscape. So here we go with the original text, and then we're going to mess with this a little bit ourselves. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where never is heard of the discouraging word, and the sky is not clouded all day. A home alone, where the deer and the antelope play, where never is discouraging word, and the sky is not cloudy all day. Oh, give me a land where the bright diamond sand throws its line from the glittering streams, where glideth along a graceful white swan, like a maid in heavenly dream. Oh, give me a gale of the Solomon's Vale, where the life streams with buoyancy flow on the banks of the Beaver, where seldom, if ever, any poisonous herbage doesn't grow. Where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. How often at night, when the heavens were bright, the light of the twinkling stars, have I stood there amazed, and I asked as I gazed if their glory exceed that above. Oh, I love the wild flowers in this bright land of ours. I love the wild curlew's shrill scream, the bluffs and white rocks, and the mantle of flocks that graze on the mountains so green. Home, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Now the air is so pure, the breeze is so fine, the zephyr so balmy and light, I would not exchange my home here to range forever in azure so bright. Oh, home, where the deer and the antelope play, where never is heard a discouraging word, and the sky is not clouded all day. No, the sky is not clouded all day. Feeling kind of reverent, aren't you, Dr. K? Well, have we got any guests tonight?
Yep. We've got lots of folks. Well, you had some tearing up a while ago, but I think they're going to be okay.
What's everybody crying about?
That's what happens when sing those songs?
Well, that's why I have to rehearse. You rehearse because sometimes one or two of these will, and unexpectedly.
And then your guitar gets wet, and then you can't play.
I've got to work that stuff out before doing these. Or things can happen like that.
Folks are finding some lines in that last song that are hitting home of late, as in, wouldn't it be nice if we were not hearing discouraging words? Mary Jo notes that our skies are pure, our air is pure, because the wind blows everything.
Yeah, those gentle zephyrs always make me a little laugh a little bit here. The zephyrs, so free. Zephyr's well.
There were several remarks, people were reporting in from various places about how hot and humid it is.
Yeah, and we probably shouldn't mention that we've got fairly delightful summer going on here right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit humid this afternoon though.
A little humid. Flies are biting a little bit, which means
they were biting hard.
It's going to be a little rain, and it's time for a shower of rain here.
I guess Taylor Brorby wins because where he's at, it's humid, humid, humid.
Taylor, come on. You know more adjectives than that, dude.
Well, this is true, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Ryan Christensen suggests playing Amazing Grace so we can all get a good cry on that.
No, I'm afraid somebody will have an altar call here or there, and we'll have to deal with a bunch of saved individuals. And well, I'm organizing here for the big finale. Yeah. Got to say a little more about Home on the Range. Speaking of getting sentimental, I do now and then because this is number 107 of the Willow Creek Folk Association.
That's
number
right.
107, and we'll be back here, right here, next Friday night with 108 with, I suspect, some special guests.
Really?
Some people who can actually sing, if you're wondering about that. Some of you may remember our granddaughter, Meg, and her mother. We can put them in competition here. No, don't do that. There's always danger of that.
No, they sing beautifully together.
They do, don't they? It's almost like they're related.
Yes.
My word.
Well, maybe Meg's beau can blow a horn, too.
Oh, I hope he didn't bring any brass with him. The house isn't that big. Oh, yeah, there'll be actual musicians in the house next week. Yeah. I don't know. We'll probably do some Americana. That's going to be kind of, but also some Canadiana. So check in. Canada Day is intervening in there, too.
Hmm.
That's next week. The week after that, though, Miss Meg is taking us out of commission because we've got to do the wedding. This is our first grandkid wedding, folks, and so we better do it right.
Meg and Michael getting married July.
I don't know.
I want to say 10th, but it's Sunday. Excuse me, No, it's the 10th or the 11th. I'll have to run down the
It's on a Saturday. Right? Wedding's on, no.
No, it's on a Sunday.
Wedding's on a Sunday.
Wedding's on a Sunday.
In there.
Sheesh, now we're not doing very well here.
It's a good thing. Thank God for Google Calendar.
But we'll be in Texas for that.
So early in this folk school, of course, got around to Home on the Range and started coining new stanzas to it because people do that with old folk songs. Here I'm looking at one that clearly was dating from probably an April or May date. Whitetails browse in the creek, and there still are, and in the strawberries. Pronghorn graze on the hills, and the high-flying swans glisten white. For we hear them with glee, and we squint there to see them forever in azure so bright. Shall we lift up our eyes as the days lengthen out from a dark time of sickness and strife? When the June berries bloom and the wild plum perfume shall announce the resumption of life. Now, isn't that song dated not only as to the time of year, which has to be May, with the June berries and the wild plum in bloom, but also reference to the infection upon the land at the time. And then here, since some time capsuling. Not long ago, I was down in Kansas at a historical meeting, and Ken Spurgeon was showing us his documentary film on Home on the Range, and their research in that film explains that the song, of course, was born as a waltz tune. There were these stanzas that were published in the newspaper, but then the local orchestra began to play it for dances. And when they did, they commonly used a little bit faster pace than, say, either Ian Tyson or I would for the song. And they knew it was a waltz. The only time I've ever seen anybody actually waltz to Home on the Range was 9,000 miles away from here in southern New Zealand late one night. And John Horn Grinnell's closed a gig with Home on the Range, and everybody got up and danced to it. And I thought, isn't that cool? We should bring that home and do it. You know, and Dr. K, we should. Because now here's a chorus from a later version that we're singing here. Hope, courage, and faith as we pray for these sad times to change. For a new day will come. Welcome then to our home, and we'll all waltz to Home on the Range. We haven't delivered to that promise yet, have we? And we got what could be, we could roll up this rug, you know?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. And what's this place for, if not for that sort of thing? If anybody wants to be in on that night when we waltz to Home on the Range, and you know, we also got Old Paint. That's a traditional waltz tune from the Southern Plains. I think we got to do that.
When are we doing this?
Oh, some Willow Creek Folk School night. Yeah. Anybody who wants to get in, better speak here if you want an invitation. When we bring back Home on the Range as a dance tune. A country doctor one day considered all that he saw on the rim of the prairie frontier, and the verse from his hand told the change in the land of the antelope, curlew, and deer. Well, there's a song we all know, but we've been doing it all wrong. And our habits will have to exchange. For when the Kelly band played and the evening did fade, the people all waltzed to Home on the Range. Will rearrange. Then we'll take to the floor and we'll dance in 3/4. Yes, we'll all waltz to Home on the Range. Yes, let's all waltz to Home on the Range. And the antelope played. Now in the field I've put the seed. Lord, I've done my best indeed, but now with kindness father dear, to all the little curls here. As she hugged me, she kissed me, and she called me her dandy. The Trinity's muddy and the Brazos quicksandy. She hugged me, she kissed me, and she called me her own. Down by the Brazos, left me alone. La la la, lee la lee. Lend me your hand, la la la, lee la lee. Lend me your hand, la la la, lee la lee. There's many a river, waters of land, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and skies are not cloudy all day. Yes, we'll all dance to Home on the Range. Dr. Kelly?
We now conclude today's edition of the Folk School on Willow Creek. We invite you to join us again next Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time for more songs and stories.